So some of you may know that in chapter 8 of the book, I talk about a couple of indigenous prophecies that have been close to me in my life, specifically the Seven Fires prophecy and the Hopi prophecy. And I share that as one of the great privileges of my life, that when I was a small child, that I got to hear deeply about these prophecies from the two elders whose kind of life's calling it was to hold the sanctity and to share these prophecies. Chief William Commanda and Thomas Banyanka, both of who are ancestors now. And both of these elders spoke about these two prophecies as a moment in time in human history where we as a species have the opportunity to make a choice. That we have the opportunity to make a choice to go back and choose the spiritual path, the spiritual life. And if we're able to choose that path, then we will be able to rebuild the world anew and have lasting peace. But if we continue down the current path that we are on now, the material path, then it will lead to a life of destruction. And regardless of the choice that we make, we are in this moment where there will be a lot of suffering, that a lot of lives will be lost. And in the midst of that chaos, in the midst of all of that transition, we have the opportunity as a species to make this sacred choice. And both of these elders were very clear that the time that we are in now is that time that we have to make that choice. And so, if we look around the world today, we see evidence that it is that time, right? We see a world that is filled with ecological collapse, political collapse, the collapse of ecosystems, the collapse of economic systems, political systems. So many of the systems that we have become accustomed to is in a state of collapse. We're in a place where I think they say something like 150 species are going extinct every single day, right? So there is this moment that we are in the history of our species that is singularly unique. And I want to remind us that this isn't just a moment of collapse and death and destruction, that it is also a moment of rebirth and renewal. How our movements, when I started getting involved in social movement work, never sang songs. And now to see the birth and the rebirth of song culture and movements, that is an example of a life-affirming system, a life-affirming culture that is being birthed and rebirthed in this moment, right? And so we're in this like sacred liminal space as a species, not as like leftists in the United States or anything like that, but as a species, we are in this sacred liminal space of transition. And this is a place that we've never been to before, right? We've never had to really grapple with the questions that we are grappling with as a human species, as a human family. And so the same rules that many of us have grown up with, the same rules that many of us have been trained in our entire lives about what it means to be an activist, what it means to create social change. In this moment, I have a sense that a lot of those rules no longer apply. And that is the key question of fierce vulnerability, is if we accept that we are in this sacred liminal moment where everything we know is in transition, what does it mean to be in right relationship with change? What does it mean to continue to affirm life, to build community, right? To build beauty, even in the midst of so much collapse? When Gandhi started the Salt March, that was really the thing that sparked the Indian independence movement. He called on 78 of his followers. He pointed to 78 people and he said, the 78 of you, you all are the ones that are going to start the Salt March. And it was those 78 people that brought out millions of people into the streets. Like we only, oftentimes when we look back at history, we only see the millions of people that poured out into the streets. But Gandhi was very explicit that the 78 people that he picked out were the ones that were going to bring out the millions. And what was so special about those 78 individuals is that those 78 people had been living together in an ashram and training together for that moment for 15 years, right? For 15 years, they were living together, practicing nonviolence, doing spiritual purification work together, building the type of relationships and the communities that can bring out millions of people into the street. And so when the founders started the Yet to Be Named network, they realized that we're in this era where we don't have 15 years to live in community before we launch actions. We need to be in action today. It is our first time as a species where we have the opportunity to make this sacred choice about what kind of a world we want to continue to build. So none of us know how to do this. So expect bumps along the way. I don't know what I'm doing. Michelle doesn't know what she's doing. None of us know what we're doing, and we're going to try to figure it out together. Yeah, and if we don't have time for us to allow ourselves to be okay, and not just okay, but thriving and joyful and deep in community, then it's impossible to create that world, right? And it's impossible to, like, we have to lead from the place of the vision that we want to create. And to also acknowledge that sometimes just by celebrating the joys that we do have, by celebrating the community that we do have, there's deep grief that comes from that celebration, because then we realize the people that don't have it. Like, I imagine when people are giving birth, in the moment that the birth is happening, it's probably a panic situation. And I talk about in the book how, like, the panic zone sometimes gets a bad rep because the word panic is a little bit loaded, but our bodies go into that same system, the part of our nervous system that is in panic, when we are also making love, when we're watching an exciting movie, playing sports. There's a way that our bodies can be in panic that, like, it does hinder our ability to slow down and breathe deeply and be in deep connection. But there's also a way that our bodies can enter that same space in a way that is sacred, right? That is giving birth to a new world. And I feel like that is part of what is happening to this world, as like we're midwifing a different way of being with each other. And so perhaps some of the panic energy that we see is a sign that we are in that sacred liminal space. And perhaps there's a way that we need to honor the panic energy rather than trying to suppress it and to try to say that panic is bad, therefore we need to be in stretch. And so I think, like, continuing to hold those tensions of maybe there's ways that we need to honor the panic and to ground ourselves as much as we are able to in comfort, so that even when we are in panic, we can remember that we are part of this cycle and this oscillation between comfort and panic that gives birth to life. And I imagine I'm not alone in saying that I know deeply what it's like in my body to want to erase my own traumatic history and to pretend that the things that I experienced in my childhood didn't happen and that I'm not going to talk about it. And if I just repress that emotion as far down as I can, it'll somehow feel better.
In this house, sing with us, we lead with love. In this house, we lift each other up. We lift each other up. Fly with the dove. In this house, we learn to fly with the dove. Oh, this is a house we've been dreaming of. Oh, this is the house we've been dreaming. Call and echo. So come on over. Come on over. Welcome in. Welcome in. Come on over. Come on over. Let's be friends. Let's be friends. Come on over. Come on over. There is enough. There is enough. Oh, this is the house we've been dreaming of. Oh, this is the house we've been dreaming of. Oh, this is the house we've been dreaming of. Oh, this is the house we've been dreaming of.
Yeah, this is the house that we've been dreaming of. And so may that be so with this, the Fierce Vulnerability Network, and all the pods that we'll be entering into. So thank you all so much for joining.